Good evening. You're now with me, Razi Ahmad, for TVS Nightline. Here are the headlines for tonight. Sarawak is now Malaysia's largest producer of petroleum, marking a major economic milestone for the region. 8 temporary relief centers are open in 3 districts of PULAU, Pinang, following heavy rain since last night. And in global affairs, U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Israel over annexing the Palestinian West Bank. The Sarawak government has confirmed that the state is now Malaysia's largest producer of petroleum, marking a major economic milestone for the region. Sarawak Premier Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Joy Tun Openg says the achievement reflects the state's strong economic fundamentals and its success in managing energy resources effectively through Petroleum Sarawak Berhad or PETROS.
We are the major producer in Malaysia. And that's why it's better for us to work together for the mutual benefit of both parties, for the government and the state government.
A report by Channel News Asia in September stated that Sarawak now accounts for more than 60% of Malaysia's total oil and gas production, with energy reserve estimated at over 285 billion ringgit, representing about 30% of the country's petroleum demand. The development is supported by the state's commercialization of gas policy and the Distribution of Gas Ordinance 2016, which grants Sarawak greater autonomy to manage and commercialize its own natural gas resources.
Meanwhile, Abang Johari rejects the long-standing allegations by the Swiss-based NGO Bruno Manser Fund, accusing logging companies linked to the state of causing environmental damage in Papua New Guinea. He describes the claims as recycled and baseless attempts to discredit Sarawak's forestry industry. According to him, Sarawak remains open to international scrutiny of its forestry practices as long as such reviews are conducted objectively and without political agenda.
Memang kita tahu dia DIA oleh Bruno Fund dari dulu lagi. Ketika saya menjaga orang Penan dulu dan mereka tak putus-putus. Tapi saya tahu bahawa pihak NGO Eropah ada juga yang telah melihat apa yang kita buat. Macam tadi kita tengok Sungai Gat, Bakun, Morun, ada community based development yang dibuat oleh SCB. Kita nak pameran tadi kan.
He pointed out that local companies such as Samajaya Mill have implemented community projects in rural areas including Sungai Gat, Bakun and Murum, bringing positive impacts to local communities. Recent international reports quoted Bruno Manser Fund as claiming that Malaysian entities were involved in logging the damaged rainforest ecosystems in Papua New Guinea. But the Sarawak government maintains that its logging policies are now far stricter than in the past, focus on sustainable forest management and international certification under the Forest Stewardship Council.
The 2025 International Dragon Boat Festival in Kuching continues to draw remarkable international participation, with more than 2,000 paddlers from 22 countries competing in this prestigious water sports event. And to ensure safe and well-organized competition, Sarawak Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts Minister Datuk Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah has introduced a new safety rule for all participants.
Dan satu kelebihan untuk tahun ini, kita telah buat prasyarat yang mana semua pendayung untuk Regata Sarawak mesti pakai life jacket. Ini pertama kali dan sambutannya saya dapat melihat amat baik sekali daripada tuan punya bot. Dan itu adalah satu daripada cara kita untuk memperhaluskan supaya tidak berlaku kemalangan, kematian, kerana pada tahun lepas kita dah melihat berlaku bencana. Pada tahun ini pun di Meladin tempoh hari ada juga masa perlombaan regata perahu garam ada yang meninggal dan harapan kita ia tidak berlaku di
Abdul Karim says that the Kuching waterfront has come alive with traditional drum performances and local handicraft sales, expected to generate over 2 million ringgit in revenue. Police in Sarawak have initiated an investigation into a bullying case involving a 13-year-old girl at a secondary school in Palawan. SUPP Public Complaints Bureau Chief Milton Fu says the case is being investigated under Section 507C of the Penal Code after the victim and her parents were called in last night to file a report. Milton is urging the public to avoid speculative comments online that could jeopardize the investigation.
It's good enough. We let the police to do the investigation. We do not want to tamper with any police case or whatsoever. Okay, we just hope that this can you at last, man, 最后一次的呼吁 at last, you just appeal or urge, okay, the authorities to help you to save or rescue your son.
Police confirmed that the incident involves two 13-year-old male students who allegedly threw stones and issued sexual and violent threats toward the victim. Disciplinary action has since been taken against both students. The Sarawak State Education Department has identified the school involved and said firm action will be taken. Officials from the Palawan District Education Office will also visit the school to ensure the matter is dealt with according to guidelines. Back on TVS Nightline. 8 temporary relief centers were opened in 3 districts of Pulau Pinang following heavy rain since last night. As of 4:30 this evening, 749 flood victims from 225 families have been evacuated to those relief centers.
The Social Welfare Department Disaster Info Portal said 3 relief centres are now open in North Seberang Perai, SK Lahar Yui, Dewan Banjar Leboh Banting, and Nyorus Batang, sheltering over 600 people from 165 families. 4 more centres are operating in central Seberang Perai, housing 121 evacuees, while 22 others were moved to SK Tan Sri Awang Hat Saleh in Balik Pulau. The worst hit areas include Kampung Tok Sani, Lahar Yui, Kampung Terus, Tasik Junjong, Taman Merah, Jalan Changkat, Taman Jawi Jaya El Chong, and Kampung Setu. Floodwater struck around 3 a.m. on Friday, catching residents off guard as levels surged to waist height.
Tu ayak naik tu dalam 3 lebih kat K4 4 pagi. Waktu tu duduk tengah lena, tapi kita dalam keadaan standby sebab amaran banjir dah bunyi dah. Waktu maghrib tu bunyi 3 kali, kita dah selalu dah berjaga-jaga dah. Tapi macam barang-barang kita tak angkat lagi sebab duk nampak hujan, sat renyai, sat lebat. Lepas tu masa kejadian semua duk tidur. Lain kali jiran call baru kami tersedak. Sedap penuh rumah dah. Kereta apa tadi 4 pagi dia bawa keluar.
Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim today confirmed that he has not received any official details regarding the resignation of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Minister Datuk Ewan Benedict. Anwar also notes that Ewan attended the weekly cabinet meeting chaired by him earlier the same day. The Prime Minister made the remarks when asked by reporters about Ewan's presence at the cabinet meeting and whether he had been formally notified of the UPCO President's reported intention to step down. Earlier, media reports quoted Iwan as saying he was prepared to resign from the cabinet if the Attorney General's chambers filed an appeal against the High Court ruling recognizing Sabah's constitutional right to 40% of the federal revenue derived from the state. U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Israel over annexing the West Bank. It won't happen, he says, when asked about calls in Israel to annex the Palestinian West Bank, which has been occupied by Israel since 1967. According to him, Israel would lose all support from the U.S. if that happened.
Israeli lawmakers on Wednesday advanced two bills paving the way for West Bank annexation that lead to condemnation from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who was in Israel at the time and who echoed Trump's comments. When asked if he was concerned by the votes, Trump told reporters at the White House.
The West Bank is, don't worry about the West Bank. Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank, okay? Don't worry about it. Is that your question? They're not going to do anything with the West Bank. Don't worry about it. Israel's doing very well. They're not going to do anything with it.
The U.S. remains Israel's most important military and diplomatic supporter. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party boycotted and criticized the vote, told members of his ruling coalition support annexation. Arab and Muslim countries have warned that annexation of the West Bank is a red line. In a joint statement carried by Saudi state media on Thursday, more than a dozen such states, including Saudi Arabia, Jordan and Turkey, condemned the Israeli parliament's vote. Meanwhile, violence has surged in the West Bank since Israel's genocidal campaign began in Gaza in October 2023. According to Ramallah-based Palestinian Health Ministry, Israeli troops and settlers have killed nearly 1,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians, since that period.
Officials from Beijing and Washington are set to meet in Malaysia for trade talks and find ways to resolve the concerns of both sides. The world's two biggest economies have spent a large part of this year locked in a tit-for-tat trade row, though they appear to be seeking to avoid further escalation.
Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng is leading a delegation to meet U.S. counterparts in Malaysia from October 24th to the 27th, the latest of several such rounds of negotiations. China's Commerce Minister Wang Wentao says Beijing and Washington can totally find ways to resolve each other's concerns.
前4人中美的经贸磋商充分证明，中美在相互尊重、平等协商的基础上，完全可以找到解决彼此关切的办法，找到正确相处之道，推动中美经贸关系健康、稳定、可持续发展。
Hopes that ties might stabilize were given a further boost when the White House announced Donald Trump will meet Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in South Korea next Thursday, having previously threatened to cancel.
On Wednesday morning local time, the president will fly to Busan, where he will participate in a bilateral meeting with the president of the Republic of Korea, deliver keynote remarks at the APEC CEO luncheon, and then participate in a U.S. APEC leaders working dinner. On Thursday morning local time, President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with President Xi of the People's Republic of China before departing to return home to Washington, D.C.
Beijing said the preceding talks in Malaysia will cover important issues in the economic and trade relationship between China and the U.S.
And those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Razi Ahmad. Thanks for watching.